And you will have 2 days to do this. So don't worry, if you guys have TWS chart, don't worry, you'll have plenty of time to do it. Okay. Does anybody have any comments, concerns, hopes, dreams, unfulfilled wishes about the charts, about the assignments, about what we're reading? Yes.
So is this one for chapters 1, 2, and 3, or just for chapter 1?
Just for chapter 1 today. We're reading chapter 1. Okay. So since today is my very last day, so as such, I brought treats for those who read. Okay?
I'll keep it that.
And everyone, alright? Last period, ate all the blue ones, but I still have some yellows left. So, I will read number 1. I will read the first paragraph. And then we're just going to play. What I've been doing with my other 2 classes, I've just been moving around here. And those who have been reading paragraphs, and they get a treat. Alright? So let's start. Who would like to start? Julia would like to start? Okay. We'll start with Julia, and we'll come up here, go around. Okay? No worries. We'll get you. Alright. There you go. We're on page 2. Page 2, chapter 1, Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition. Ernest Henry Shackleton knew all about the weather in the Antarctic. In 1908, Shackleton had been the first explorer within 100 miles of the South Pole. On his triumphal return from the journey, he was rewarded with a knighthood for his efforts. He was a world-famous celebrity, a hero to thousands who read this thrilling book on his furthest south expedition. So that's like Ian McKellen, who's like a great actor who did like Lord of the Rings and stuff. He got a knighthood too because of his great works. Yes, it works. So that's just like Ian McKellen. He was determined to try again for the conquest of the South Pole. But before he could organize a new expedition, 2 other explorers headed for the frozen continent. In 1911, the Norwegian explorer Ronald Amundsen. It's okay, guys. It's okay. How do you say it? Amundsen? Alright. If you guys don't know how to say it, that's quite alright. We'll help you out, okay? Because there was like Pluto monkey and all of England wanted to be real. Amundsen reached the pole. Only 5 weeks later, Captain Robert F. Scott of England reached it, a heartbreaking second-place finish, and then died on the way back to his base. All of England mourned the death of Captain Scott. Now that the South Pole had been reached, it seemed as though the age of heroic exploration was over. And yet, was it? Sorry, Julie, I'm going to come and bring you the microphone. Okay.
Antarctica had never been sighted before the 19th century. Until then it was a rumor, an undefined, unseen question mark shrouded in fog and surrounded by ice. But it hadn't always hidden at the bottom of the world behind a veil of frozen mist. 160 million years ago, Antarctica was part of the supercontinent Gondwana, which was also South America, Africa, and Australia. The Jurassic climate of Gondwana was semi-tropical, and fossils from Antarctica prove the continent was one inhabited by giant flightless birds, sharks, and freshwater fish, snails, beetles, reptiles, that word, all thriving under giant ferns and trees.
What marsupial? It means like a prima. You guys have to hit those. Yeah, support. Pass it forward, and we'll just go around with this.
So, read the last paragraph?
Supercontinent. If you guys get bored at any time, I want you to turn to your graphic organizers and start working on those. Okay? And if you get done with your graphic organizers, I want you to turn it over and draw me the coolest picture you can. Okay?
The supercontinent began to break apart, however, and by 60 million years ago, Antarctica had migrated south to its present location over the pole. In a mere 20 million years, the continent was covered with ice, and the environment had become too hostile for most living things.
But modern times, only 1% of the continent was free of ice. But not only was it too cold for most life, it was also too dry. With the annual rain and snowfall only 2 inches per year, the same as that of Australian outback, the polar ice cap made the Arctic a frozen desert.
Cold air mass created the ice caps, which collapsed the warm winds from the ocean that cheered up storm belts that surrounds the continent, making the Southern Ocean the most voracious sea anywhere. The southern latitudes from 40 degrees south latitude, the Antarctic Circle of 67 degrees south latitude long ago earned the nickname for the sailors who dared approach the continent with roaring forces and furious bursts and the screaming seas. Countless ships have been lost in these waters. Countless sailors have lost their lives.
These perilous seas kept the continent locked away until 1774, when Captain James Cook reached the farthest south latitude yet attained. He warned his ship through the ice pack to reach 71 degrees south latitude and then turned north again without ever seeing them again. In 1820, a Russian Navy ship under the command of Fabian something von Other made the first circumnavigation and sighting of the continent. 20 years later, James Ross became the first to bowl all the way around the pack to reach land. As the 19th century ran out, more and more of the continent was snapped and described by navigators from around the world. Although Antarctica claimed many ships as payment, by the turn of the century, the fringes of the continent were fairly well defined on the charts, but the interior was still an unknown wasteland of ice.
Then came the race to the South Pole. Shackleton's attempt in 1908 ended when he was thrown back by terrible weather conditions, only 97 miles from his goal. The prize ultimately went to Amundsen on December 14, 1911, and Scott stumbled to the pole just over than a month later. On January 17, 1912, and there were still 5.5 million square miles untouched by man, an area 25% larger than the continent of Europe.
All of England, including Shackleton, regretted losing the horror of being first at the pole. But Shackleton set his sights on a new goal, to be the first to cross the southern continent from one side to the other. There was indeed much more exploring to be done.
On December 29, 1913, the London Times trumpeted, "We are able to announce today with satisfaction which shall be universally shared that Sir Ernest Shackleton will lead a new expedition to the South Pole."
Lord Curzon, president of the Royal Geographical Society, summed up the feelings of most Shackleton's fans that it is a task worthy to be undertaken by Englishmen is to me quite clear, and that of living Englishmen you are the best fitted by training, experience, and prestige to carry it out successfully. None will be found to deny.
Even though without such support, however, Shackleton had to go to Antarctica again because the continent holds him like a magnet. I am just as good as any explorer, and nothing he wrote to his wife Emily. He had been bitten hard by the explosion bug.
An Irishman by birth, the 40-year-old Shackleton was a showman with a hunger for polar glory. As a child, he had been something of a loner, reading adventure stories during his school days and dreaming of fame and fortune. At 16, he joined the Merchant Marine, and his first voyage took him around Cape Horn in the winter. It was his first experience of the Southern Ocean. By 1900, at age 26, he had risen in the ranks of merchant service in mail and cargo around British Empire. But he worried that his routine voyage might in fact be a dead end. Citing his years of experience at sea, he presented himself at the offices of the National Antarctic Expedition in London. In 1901, as a junior officer aboarded the Discovery, captained by Robert F. Scott, he headed for Antarctica for the first time.
There was no going back for Shackleton. He had found his true calling after Discovery came his furthest south expedition in 1908. Now in 1914, he was famous enough as an Antarctic explorer to be able to raise the money he needed for his new journey. He even had the commercial smarts to form a film syndicate based on the frame of his expedition photographer, an Australian named Frank Hurley. Shackleton sweet-talked wealthy patrons took public donations and raised money as an advance based on future sales of film and photo rights. He also retained the rights to all crew diaries with the aim of publishing them at the end of the successful trip.
With this bankroll, he was able to purchase an outfit of three-masted, full-powered mercantile called Polaris from a Norwegian firm that specialized in polar vessels. Its thick wooden hull was especially designed for plowing through polar ice packs. In some places it was more than 4 feet thick. The wood was still flexible enough to withstand the squeezing of the polar ice. The ship was capable of doing 9 to 10 knots under steam. In honor of his family motto, by endurance and comfort, Shackleton christened the ship Endurance.
Volunteers.
Shackleton began to take a cruise. Some of the leaders' choices for his team were obvious. Oh wait.
Nice kid.
There was no need to call for volunteers to join the Imperial Trans-Arctic Expedition.
Almost as soon as the expedition was announced, 5,000 would-be explorers rushed to the expedition's office on New Burlington Street in London, England. Letters poured in from people all over the world, including at least one woman and a 15-year-old boy. Some letters were simply addressed Sir Ernest Shackleton, London.
From this flood of volunteers. From this flood of volunteers, Shackleton began to pick the crew. Some of the leaders' choices for his team were obvious. Frank Powell, his second in command, and had been with him on his 2 previous journeys south and had spent a total of 6 years in Antarctica. Logging more than 5,000 miles of sledding, Tom
Crane, another Irishman and a tough sailor, had also been south with Shackleton before, and proudly wore Britain's snow white polar medal on his jacket. Crane had also served with Captain Scott. It was Crane who found Scott's lifeless body after the explorer's second place finish at the pole. George Martinson, the official artist of the expedition, had adventured in the Antarctica with Shackleton too. Frank Hurley, the 24-year-old photographer, had been to the Antarctic with an explorer named Douglas Mawson, and was a key member because of the financial backing he could attract. Alfred Cheatham had served under Scott in the Antarctic along with Crean. Merchant Marine officer named Frank Horsley, a part of Maori New Zealander who had been a sailor since the age of 16, was to captain the ship.
The rest of the crew was made up of little seamen, accustomed to the harsh weather of the North Sea, 2 doctors, a handful of university scientists, officers, and a carpenter and a cook. For seamen, the yearly salary was £50 for scientists. It was 100 apiece. Some of them had more experience, either Arctic or Antarctic. Some of the men had never been on an Indian coast, let alone imagining a voyage to the southern continent. So whatever their experience was in North Sea for him with the university scientists, they knew that they were in for the adventure of a lifetime.
Okay, I'm gonna give someone else, anybody else would like another opportunity. One should we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more options. Alright. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, come right here. Remember, once they're done, just to make things easier, if you're next, hold up your number, okay? So after done, so you're 2, who would be number 3? Number 3? That way you may know. Number 4, 5, 6, okay? That way they know.
Endurance now had a crew, and the ship's hull was stores for at least 2 years, including a recent innovation, concentrated volatile sludging rations for the Trans-Antarctic run on dog sleds. Horsley explained that this mixture was composed of lard, oatmeal, beef protein, vegetable protein, salt, and sugar. The result was heating, nourishing, and anti-scorbutic, scurvy preventing, and it was invaluable. Made up in half-pound bricks for one man's meal, it had the consistency of a new cheese and a yellow-brown color, but looked when boiled with water like thick pea soup. Scurvy, the depletion of vitamin C, or ascorbic acid, has always been a problem on long voyages and had contributed to Captain Scott's deaths en route from the South Pole. Shackleton had consulted the British Army's nutritionist, who believed in the newfangled idea of vitamins and who helped concoct the rations. Each brick consisted of 2,864 calories and was wrapped in wax paper and packed in tin boxes. The hold of the ship was loaded with them.
In addition to these sledging rations were powdered milk and cocoa sugar, tea, potatoes, tobacco, canned meats and vegetables, liquor, flour, and a dozen and one another staples and delicacies. Shackleton believed in keeping his men well fed.
The ship also carried coal, rifles, ammunition, scientific apparatus, a radio, games, books, navigational charts, lanterns, tanks, and cages for bringing back live seals and penguins, 3 lifeboats and a small landing boat, a miniature billiard table, typewriters, sleeping bags, tents, matches, lumber for a hut, bicycle, a motor-propelled sledge, and dog sled, 2 gramophones, skis, sewing machine, hockey skates, soccer balls, the meteorologist's banjo, and the carpenter's cat, Mrs. Chipmunk. The plan for the Imperial Antarctica expedition was this: Endurance would sail from South America to the Little Sea, which is bordered by the Antarctic I do not know how to say that word. Peninsula. This peninsula, part of the same geological formation, as the Andes Mountain reaches north from Antarctica like an outstretched arm, cradling the Weddell Sea. Having crossed the Weddell Sea, Shackleton would make landfall at the best opportunity and then set out across the continent at the same time.